All right, Remi, we're back. We just got done with a pretty cool conversation.
Yeah.
Your whole story. Now we're just going to collapse it into your transition, which you got out of the SEALs, what, 2016?
I completely separated out of the Navy in January 2016.
Okay, yeah. So talk to me a little bit about that. I guess first, why did you make that transition?
Because of my kids. So my dad died when I was 5, and not having a father really scarred me. And I had 2 sons at the time. My oldest was 2, my youngest was 1, and I just felt like I needed to be home, just to spend time with them more and just be with them through the journey of life, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've got young kids too, so I definitely can see that. What was the hardest part? Not about the actual separation, but what was the hardest part of not being a SEAL anymore? I mean, that's not that long ago.
Yeah, I mean, just being around the guys, man. Being around the guys for me was, consistently, because it's a brotherhood.
Yeah.
It's a brotherhood. And, I love being in the teams and love just a group of guys I was honored to serve around. And so that was the hardest part for me, knowing that, because I knew the brotherhood would still exist, but it's different when you're outside because now you're on your own now.
Do you feel like that? Do you feel like you're an outsider, for lack of a better term?
No, not necessarily. Just it's different when you're in, right? It's just it's hard to explain, but it's a different feeling when you're in, you know what I mean? Because you're going to the team every day, you're checking in, hanging out with the guys, working out, all that stuff. And then when you get out, you still have access to them. You can still make phone calls. And, I'm still close to tons of my buddies who are still in and out. But you just don't have that touch anymore, that consistent touch. Yeah. So I think that was the hardest thing. And then another thing too is, just the dynamic of, being in SOF, we're expected to operate at a high standard.
Sure.
Right?
The highest
standard. There are expectations, right? You communicate effectively, you work as a team, leaders lead from the front, not the rear. If you make a mistake, you fess up to that mistake. All these principles are just normal to you.
Right.
But when you get out into the civilian sector, that standard is not normal to everyone else. So I had a real tough time from that perspective, working with people who are used to working at this level and they're okay with that, and they have just this standard, and then having worked with other guys. So that bothered me a lot. It was to this day I still struggle with that, and I've had to hire an assistant to essentially be my filter. I did, dude.
I bet, man.
Like, to be the one, dude, I'm not dealing with it. You send the email, because if I deal with it, it's not going to be good.
Well, and I imagine, too, some of that would probably rub somebody who's at this standard the wrong way
it does.
when you're up here.
I've gotten in a lot of trouble, man. Like, seriously, I got into a lot of trouble, because people they do get rubbed the wrong way.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm just like, well, I don't get it. If you say you're going to do something,
then do that.
You're supposed to do it. Like, there's no science behind it. So yes, I'm getting mad because you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or if you're supposed to communicate something by sending an email so that we know what time to be at a certain place, if you don't send that email, we can't do our job. So yes, I'm saying something to you about it so it doesn't happen again. Oh my God.
You're being mean.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. All you guys getting out, be prepared, dude. For real, man, because you're gonna have to take a lot of chill pills, man.
Yeah.
Or hire an assistant like mine.
That's a good way to do it. Yeah. So you don't have to change. You let them deal with that stuff. I know you kind of struggled a little bit about a direction.
Yeah.
When you got out. You were getting into some contracting work and some other things. Like, how did you ultimately start to weave that path to find something and find yourself in the position you are now? Oh
man, it's interesting. A lot of it I would say is fortuitous. Honestly, I didn't find the path. The path found me. I shared. Kind of it all started with. It started with me being open. I would say. I think that's the answer. Being open, right? Because we have this expectation when we get out. I'm going to do this, and this, and I kind of liken this to writing. My writing style is organic. When I write, I just I'll have an outline.
Sure.
But that outline won't be the absolute edict that I must stick to. Right.
Right.
It's the same thing when you get out. You're going to have a plan. Have a plan. You're saying this to teams. Plan your dive your plan, right? But be flexible. If something comes your way, be willing to at least take a look, right? And kind of with the whole Israel thing I shared with you. One of my first jobs when I got out was I was invited to Israel. Now I couldn't, I was now I didn't get paid. It was like a trial type thing. Now I could have been like, I'm not going. Why am I going to go to Israel? I don't want to go do that. But it's just me testing the waters, and that's how I kind of was like, okay, I might have something there. And then 2 months later is when I got the call for Transformers, and I could have easily been like, nah. I was in grad school, not thinking about acting.
Would have been easy
not
not
trying
to
to
go
be
that route.
to act, right? And it could have been easily to be like, no, I'm in grad school, I'm not going to deal with that. But I think I was open to the path. Like, what? I had this plan to get my master's so I could focus more on speaking and speak and, have more credibility because, and this is another thing I try to tell soft veterans, you being, a former Delta operator or a former Army SF or a former Ranger or a former Navy SEAL or whatever it is that you are, yeah, that's cool for a minute, but at some point you have to put some real world credibility behind that.
Sure.
And what I mean by that, I don't mean like operational. I mean like educational, right? Because we have the real world experience from an operational standpoint, but the world doesn't really, a lot of, I don't want to say respect, but they acknowledge degrees.
Sure.
They acknowledge, you've worked at this office for this amount of time, and so that's why I was getting my master's, because I was just trying to see, okay, I'm a frogman, people respect that, but let me get the education to back it up, so when I go into these corporations, they will be open to hear what I'm saying, or they will at least bring me in.
Right.
So
right. Just legitimacy to it.
Exactly. That's the right word, legitimacy.
Would you do anything different if you started over again? If you were going through that transition again?
No. And the reason why I went in is because I learned so many lessons. I learned so many lessons that, have allowed me to be where I'm at today. I mean, I also started a business when I got out. I started an S corporation, consulting firm, and there were things that I had to learn. Actually, I had started the S corporation before I got out, because I was just like, I need to, just to kind of get prepared,
Yeah, you knew it was coming.
And for a long period of time, I was using my personal money to keep the company afloat. But what was your question?
If you would do anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything at all, because again, I learned so many lessons that have a lot of failures. That's one of my messages I try to share in the book, and I try to share in life as well. Failure is only a failure if you don't learn from it.
Sure.
But if you learn from it, it's a lesson. And so I had a lot of failures in that time. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I know it's going to help guys, and making that transition, it's a challenge. I know it can be, so it's really helpful.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man.